Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Eli Ballard, and today we're going to be going over my top 10 guitarists in metal. Starting off, number 10, we have Nocturno Culto from Darkthrone. Now, I am a D1 Darkthrone glazer, so I will immediately say that either Fenris or Nocturno Culto will be in my top 10 no matter what. Most of the early Darkthrone riffs were, Ted and the other guy who was in Darkthrone where they were doing death metal, but later on Fenris kind of took over more on riffs and stuff, but Ted is still, the Darkthrone guitar player, so that's why he's in my list. Number 9, we have Satyr from Satyricon. He has amazing, groove-based riffs. I like to think that Satyricon is more of a black groove band. I don't even know if that's the thing, it's probably not, but that's what I'm saying it is. And Satyr is also an amazing frontman. He has amazing stage presence. And yeah, he just makes amazing riffs. I like to think that Satyricon is is a groove band, mainly because of Satyr's instrumental work. Number 8, we have Samoth from Emperor. He's a driving force in Emperor. He lays amazing rhythm tracks down for Ihsahn's melodic style that he likes to do, and him and Ihsahn, they work together so good to make Emperor, what it is. Number 7, we have Blasphemer from Mayhem, and I can't remember the other band's name that he's in, so it'll be right here. Anyways. Blasphemer, he has some of my favorite black metal tone whatsoever, scooped mids, a lot of treble, the whole 9 yards. And his stage presence is absolutely amazing, and well, at least was when he was playing for Mayhem in the late 90s and early 2000s. I also think that he did a great job taking on the part of guitarist in Mayhem, because he really, transformed Mayhem's music into what it is today, and he transformed black metal into what it is today, and he really steered away from that terrible path that Euronymous had everyone going in during the early and mid 90s. Now, number 6, we have Korthon. Korthon, well, Bathory is one of my favorite bands of all time, let alone Korthon, one of my favorite guitarists of all time. He is a pioneer of extreme metal. He has amazing atmosphere, and even though I am a lover of the Viking Bathory, I still love the earlier thrash-centered Bathory, or whatever you would call that in the early days of Bathory. Number 5, we have Dimebag Darrell. If you couldn't tell, Dimebag is one of my favorite guitarists of all time. This is one of his damage playing guitars, but, you know, I still absolutely love Pantera whatsoever, you know? But, you know, Dimebag, being one of my favorite guitarists ever, his tone is completely unmatched throughout, you know, from early Pantera all the way until his last days in Damage Plan. I absolutely loved it. Although I'm more of a fan of his Washburn guitars than his Dean guitars, you know, his tone has still basically stayed the same with both. You know, and like his signature guitars are, like, in my opinion, some of the coolest signature guitars ever. Like, he is so iconic that, you know, whenever you see a Dean ML, which is this guitar, the one that I just showed you, you immediately think of him. Like, that's what I do. Like, every single Dean ML, no matter what color it is, reminds me of Dimebag. Like, hands down. Moving on to number 4. My number 4th most favorite guitarist of all time. You could classify him as a guitarist. I do, at least, and I'm pretty sure that he would himself. Is the one and only Varg. Now, Varg is one of my favorite guitarists because he is such an amazing musician, and his work, like, although it is centered around, you know, stemming away from, like, the modern kind of stuff and, like, making, you know, his own thing, he still has a way of making some of the most catchy and amazing pieces of music ever because of how good of a guitarist he is. Like, he's not gonna play, like, some solo like Dimebag, or, you know, he's not gonna do a 7-minute long solo in the pentatonic scale only like someone we know and some of us love. Anyways, Varg doesn't need to have all those crazy fast solos or the crazy, you know, sweeping and all that stuff. He just needs, like, Varg doesn't even own an amp. That's, like, that should tell you enough. He doesn't even own an amp, but he still records and plays music and still to this day gaining fans that are listening to his new music. Now, for my top 3 guitarists of all time, in all of music whatsoever, hands down, these are my top 3 favorites. If anyone asks me, hey, do you think this guy's better or this guy's better, I will always choose these top 3 over absolutely everybody. Number 3, Ihsahn from Emperor. Emperor is one of my favorite black metal bands, and will most likely always be one of my favorite black metal bands. Ihsahn is not only an amazing guitarist, but he's also an amazing human being, from what I've heard. You know, Ihsahn has great stage presence. He's, by far, I think, one of the most talented black metal musicians to ever come out of, you know, second wave. Even though that quite a lot of black metal players are very talented, I think that Ihsahn absolutely blows most of those people out of the park. Because he's, like, past 50 and still, you know, playing all these wild things on stage, like I'm the Black Wizards, you know, all of those other bands. And that's just the most popular song, in my opinion, of Emperor. But, you know, he's still doing stuff with his solo music and all that stuff. I just find Ihsahn to be a really big inspiration to me. Number 2, Chuck Schuldiner from Death. Now, just in the past, like, 2 years, I've really been listening to a lot of Death, and just lately, in the past few months, I've really gone down the rabbit hole on them. And I think that Chuck Schuldiner is one of the most talented, was one of the most talented musicians to ever step on the face of the earth. Like, he's talented, he mixes, you know, the heaviness of death metal, you know, being the godfather of death metal, he mixes the heaviness with the complexity, with, like, all this other crazy stuff that he shoves together into, you know, these, like, 5 to 8 minute long songs. And just, he's just an amazing musician, and from what I've heard, also an amazing human being. Now, number one, my all-time favorite guitarist of all time, you know, basically pioneered a genre, you know, has some of the coolest signature guitars to ever, like, come out of ESP whatsoever. My number one favorite guitarist of all time is Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom and Bodom After Midnight. Alexi Laiho, although being a very self-destructive person, put that into music that I don't think a whole lot of other people really could, or put it into music in such a way that is not DSBM. You know, he's an amazing songwriter. He had some of the best stage presence, like, ever. Like, that's what I wish that my stage presence could be, like, 100%. And he's mixing all this, like, crazy neoclassical stuff with black metal, and, you know, the synths that they have, and all this stuff, while still making, like, super catchy music. Like, this is probably the most catchy metal, most catchy extreme metal you will ever find. Not only is it heavy and, like, absolutely super complex, it's also just straight up listenable. Like, it's one of the most listenable bands ever to come out of, like, you know, Europe and, well, I guess Scandinavia, because they are from Finland. Anyways, Alexi Laiho, my number one idol. Great guitars, cool guitars. I really want one of them. Subscribe, like, comment, share this with your friends, so maybe one day I can afford one of them.